This is a trigger warning. In this video, I go over some subject matters that you may or may not find disturbing and may trigger you in trauma response. One of these things that I go over are self-immolation, self-harm, and suicide. So if these are things that you do not want to hear about or talk about, then please click off the video. This video is not going to be fun. Alright. So we're going to get this one started. Is not going to be part of my regular programming. This is going to be a bit of a report on some recent events about a service member that set himself on fire, Aaron Bushnell. So this is going to be kind of like my previous videos, but it's not going to be in the same series. I wasn't sure I was going to make anything about this one. However, while looking through the different videos I wanted to do a react to reactionaries, I found that Steven Crowder actually made a video on this. And I haven't seen it yet, but I imagine it's not going to be in good taste, given what happened as a tragedy. And being a veteran myself, it's something that when I heard about it, made me actually pretty sad about it. So I'm going to pull up the BBC report. I actually think they did a pretty good job. This is actually not the first instance of a person self-immolating themselves in front of an Israeli embassy, which we'll see in the BBC report here when I pull it up. Aaron Bushnell, U.S. Airman, dies after setting himself on fire outside Israeli embassy in Washington. The man was identified by police as Aaron Bushnell, age 25. Officers from the U.S. Secret Service extinguished the flames before the man was taken to the hospital on Sunday afternoon. Before setting himself on fire, he said he would no longer be complicit in genocide. In a video aired live on streaming site Twitch, the man identified himself and said he was a serving member of the Air Force. Dressed in military uniform, he said he was about to engage in an extreme act of protest. After setting himself on fire, he repeatedly shouted, "Free Palestine." Obviously, this is really sad. They didn't see anything regarding if he was like stable or what else was going on with him. As far as I was able to find, this just seems that the reports that have come out is just somebody that had very strong convictions. And it's sad to see somebody do that. Especially for something as, morally justifiable as protesting an ongoing genocide. So, not necessarily a good thing that you want to see. And I can't imagine that his family would be particularly happy at this time. So, just overall, really sad thing. I hope they give him all full military honors and everything. The incident happened at 1300 local time, 1800 GMT, on Sunday. A bomb disposal unit was sent to the site over concerns about a suspicious vehicle that could have been connected to the individual. This was later declared safe after no hazardous material were found. Mr. Bushnell was taken to the hospital in critical condition. Washington police said officers were working with the Secret Service and Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives to investigate the incident. Mr. Bushnell of San Antonio, Texas, was raised in Massachusetts and then attended public school on the Cape Cod Peninsula. According to a statement from a local school district, the Air Force would not confirm details of Mr. Bushnell's service, citing family notification policies. A Pentagon spokesman called the incident a tragic event, which I would describe as an accurate depiction of it. Regardless of where you stand, politically speaking, it is a service member that did take his life, and this is one of those things that potentially could have been remedied with better mental health, and the service is doing a better job at it. in the military service in the United States nowadays than they were in the past. However, it's still kind of a stigma thing in the military service, especially for older soldiers, to not talk about their feelings and stuff. So, yeah. Before setting himself alight, Mr. Bushnell emailed a number of reporters and left-wing and anarchist news websites. The Atlanta Community Press Collective, one of the groups that received the email, provided a copy to the BBC. And in quotations, he says that he is planning on engaging in an extreme act of protest against the genocide of the Palestinian people. The email reads, warning it would be highly disturbing. And then they're basically going through some statistics here on what's happened since October 7th. In his LinkedIn profile, Mr. Bushnell stated that he graduated from Air Force basic training to the top of the class. So basically the article does go over everything, and we basically went through the whole thing here. So this isn't the first instance of this happening. In December, a protester self-immolated in front of the Israeli consulate in the U.S. state of Georgia. So this is like the second time somebody's done this during the ongoing conflict, if you can call it that. So really sad. I don't think anybody from either side of any political spectrum would say anything other than it is sad. But with that being said, Mr. Crowder did make himself a video on this, and I haven't seen it yet, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be very distasteful and will probably piss me off.
So we'll talk about that. We're going to talk about how the United States military is killing itself, self-immolation. You've heard about the man who is assuming, I don't want to say room temperature, at the embassy.
That's fucking precious, dog. That's your conservatives right there. That's fucking amazing. That's a fantastic making a joke of it. Wow, great.
He's like the English patient. Lit himself on fire for Palestine. Says crisp as Peking duck. Now,
holy fuck, dude.
We also have.
Are you fucking kidding me? The object is cruelty here. Like, why? Why would you say that? There's no reason to make that joke. Like, you're just reporting on somebody killing themselves by burning themselves alive because they had a conviction about an ongoing genocide. Even if you don't think that there's an ongoing genocide, which I know that Stephen doesn't, that doesn't change the fact that this was a soldier that self-immolated himself. It's not really an appropriate way to discuss it, I don't think. Holy shit. That's fucking wild that it immediately goes there.
Our best and finest. Bushnell wrote, many of us like to ask ourselves, what would I do if I was alive during slavery or the gym?
Holy shit. Like, why did he immediately do a gay voice for this soldier? Are you fucking kidding me?
Jim Crow South or apartheid. What would I do if my country was committing genocide? The answer is you're doing it right now.
That is extremely fucking offensive. Like, first of all, even if he sounded like that, even if he was like extremely flaming, I see what happened there. You know what I mean. Even if he was like extremely out of the closet and proud, that's not an appropriate way to address that. Like, I don't think if somebody dies, I don't think the day after is an appropriate time to like try and imitate their voice, even if they're like, this is my best impression of the person that recently died. I think that's kind of inappropriate. I don't know how the fuck he thought that was an okay thing. This is for Republicans, dog. You're talking about a service member that just self-immolated themselves. Okay? This is what, like, your grandfather is watching, right? Well, maybe not anymore because of the YouTubes, but, like, this is like boomer fuel. You can't say shit like that.
This is what I've told you, right? If you actually believe that there's a trans genocide out there, guess what? Violence is justified, or extreme actions, in this case, even violence against oneself.
Trans genocide. Stephen, that's not even what he immolated himself over. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Did I just, like, completely miss how this has anything... No, the dude did this specifically for Palestine. There's nothing about trans anything in here. What are you doing?
Many of us like to ask ourselves, what would I do if I was alive during...
I mean, we read the BBC report together, right? Like, I closed it, but that had nothing to do with what happened. He went in front of the Israeli embassy and immolated himself as a protest for what's going on in Palestine right now.
Slavery, or the Jim Crow South, or apartheid.
Oh man, that is just rough. Why are you doing that?
If my country was committing genocide, the answer is you're doing it right now. This is what I've told you, right? If you actually believe that there's a trans genocide out there,
he's just ad-libbing shit. What the fuck? Like, that has nothing to do with it.
or guess what? Violence is justified, or extreme actions, in this case, even violence against oneself.
In this case, is he actually pretending like that has anything, the trans genocide has anything to do with Palestinian? Is he okay? What the fuck is he talking about?
If you believe that silence is violence and words are violence, if you believe that there's a genocide against black...
This person didn't think words are violence, Stephen. They thought violence was violence. And as a result, they immolated themselves to bring attention to the violence being perpetrated on 1.9 million people. That's what he thought was violence. What are you doing?
Black people. And you, in this case, obviously very, and unfortunately a very misled way, believes that it's just genocide against Palestine as opposed to a conflict that's been going on for a very long time. You justify extreme acts. That's what Hamas...
This is like a really bad point. First of all, he ad-libbed a whole bunch of shit in there that has absolutely nothing to do with anything. He just hit all the key demographics of what chuds really want to hear. But that's not a good point. Saying that it's just a conflict doesn't like make it go away. Okay, even in a regular conflict, when the civilian casualties are such a high rate compared to like military casualties, generally you have bodies like the EU or the UN step in and stop that from happening, right? Just because you're at war with somebody doesn't mean that you get to like bombard their entire civilian population. That's not how war works, right? And even in counterinsurgencies. You remember what happened in Vietnam in the United States. You don't... that nobody regards that as like a good thing that we did, right? That's not regarded as, oh, bombing villages were totally justified. No, that's the entire genre of movies regarding the Vietnam conflict exists solely because of the inhumane treatment we had towards civilian populations, which is the protocols for how you can operate. So you have the Geneva Convention, which came out of the war crime trials after World War II against the Germans. Origin, World War II, what was that? The Singular Geneva Convention, the agreements of 1949, negotiates the aftermath of the Second World War. Yeah, so like the rules of war and modern-day war were written in the Geneva Convention right after World War II. And then the Hague is the protection of children and cooperation and respect for adoption. Is that right? I feel like that's not correct. Okay, I guess I was just misunderstanding it. Intercourt adoptions. Yeah, then I was just completely had those two mixed up. Sorry. But, yeah, after the Geneva Convention in 1949, that's when we had the rules of war that we have now, like to avoid civilian casualties, to not purposefully target civilians. So it's just not reasonable to say that, given that 1.9 million people have been displaced.
Uses to justify extreme acts, and that's what the Nashville shooter used to justify extreme acts. Extreme acts. Let me ask you a question.
Ask me about
it. It's tough. It's a tough one. It's a woodchuck word twister. This is what you cannot tell people that they are living in an era of slavery, in an era of modern genocide, which is what all of these isms are.
Why can't you tell that to people? Because there are. It's been recognized as an apartheid state by the UN. Israel apartheid state. Amnesty. So it's Amnesty International that recognizes as an apartheid state. So it's not inaccurate to say that, because it is documented to be in existence. So when you're saying you can't say that, that's not accurate. You can say things that are real. You can say things that have been declared by legal bodies. I don't know why you wouldn't, and it's really just not a good point all around. Like, immediately, this is what I really dislike about this framing. He's immediately attacking the motivations of the person that did that. Granted, nobody knows what his mental state was at the time. However, his motivations were clear in that, from everything that we've seen so far. It's not really cool to just go in, first of all, and do a gay voice for him when you have absolutely no idea who he was. That's just disrespectful, not just to him, but to the queer community in general. It's just mad disrespectful all around. Man, that's a rough one, man. How is he going to finish this?
And then be surprised when they act irrationally.
And it's frustrating to me because you draw a straight line from the policies of this administration, from the misinformation, and I know I'm using a term that the left uses a lot, but it's true. Genocide is not getting attacked and then kicking the crap out of the attacker. It's not a game.
Displacing 1.9 million people is not kicking the crap out of an attacker. What is it, 40% of Palestine is children under the age of 18? Or is it 60? Percentage of Palestinians are children. 45%. That's 45% out of 1.9 million people that have been displaced. So 45%, even if every single adult was a Hamas terrorist, that still leaves with 45% of 1.9 million people not being Hamas. Okay? And that's insane. That's an insane. That's not possible. You do not have 1.9 million terrorists. They're just normal people, right? Whatever justification you want to have, you can always make the point that you're doing counterinsurgency, right? Militarily, because there was an attack on October 7th, so there is a response that's going to happen from the government that was attacked. However, that response is incredibly disproportional, and that's what a lot of people are having problems with. And clearly, that's what this individual was having with before he immolated himself. You can't just pretend that that's not a thing.
Where war has to be equal losses on both sides, or it's genocide. That's not how this works, and that is the standard that they're holding right.
Nobody's saying equal losses on both sides, you fucking ghoul. That is not anybody's point. Nobody wants to see more Israeli soldiers dying or more Hamas soldiers dying until it reaches like some kind of ghoulish equilibrium. Nobody wants that. Okay? When people are actually protesting about this, they're complaining about the conflict going on at all, And to the degree that it's a conflict, I don't, and most people that are making this point don't see any valid reason to be bombing like apartment buildings, right? It's just not, like, you can't even imagine, in America, you can't imagine this scenario, right? Like, it is impossible in the minds of the average American citizen to imagine that they were downtown and then just Mexico started bombing us, like, and just buildings blowing up. It's insane. It's impossible to even fathom, right? And you have 1.9 million people. You have basically 2 million fucking people being displaced. They're having to deal with that on a regular basis. That's what people are upset about. Not that they're fighting insurgents. Nobody actually gives a shit about that, okay? You have insurgents, you have soldiers, they're going to fight each other. Nobody's going to, like... Yes, people care about that, but that's not what everybody's upset about. It's the fact that there's children involved in this. Like legitimately, 45% of the population is children. That's why everybody's upset. It's icky to I would say it's kind of gross. It's kind of icky. It's kind of gross to take a report of somebody who just did that and attribute, I don't know, just make fun of them for it, or just not actually even give them the attribution of what they did. As far as I can tell, the guy didn't actually hurt anybody other than himself, which is the tragedy. But it's not cool to, like, shit talk him. I don't know, man. Like, it's just not cool. Like, if somebody offs themselves, I don't think that gives you the right to be a complete dick about them and show up at their funeral and just, like, fucking talk shit. Like, no, dude, you don't get to do that. That makes you kind of a shitty person. Fuck.
Right now, and by the way, when did you think this was a good idea? 50 years ago, when this happened? People were like, well, crap, I didn't know people lit themselves on fire to protest. Now it's like a car alarm that goes off, and we're like,
Yeah.
Like, this is a really bad way. You asked the question, what would I do if I lived during Jim Crow, slavery, apartheid? March!
It's awesome how much Steven is loving this. That's great. That's a great indication of his humanity right there.
They did it.
Lighting oneself on fire doesn't even make the list.
Yes, it doesn't even make not even top 20.
Jesus Christ. Like, this is fucking ghoulish, man. This is actually kind of hard to watch. Like, what the fuck is wrong with these guys? Man, okay.
Maybe it depends. Like, hunger strike might be in there, but let's be honest.
Yeah.
I'm not going to last that long.
Maybe for like a week, like a hunger strike.
I mean, it's not that bad. A fire is like a self-containing mess, you know? It just goes to ash. And
I mean, it is true.
ashes to ashes, you know?
At least they were tight.
Jesus fucking Christ. Like, seriously, just like the one-liners. Okay, so a dude burns himself alive. So you make fun of him. You give him a gay voice. So you insult not only him, but the LGBT community at the same time. It's fantastic. I mean, I guess that's what he's going for. It's a massive insult to the veteran community and the armed force community in general. It's like, and again, this is for right-wingers. This is for chuds. So is that where we're at with the conservatives in this country? Just making fun of soldiers that off themselves. That's kind of rough, man. I didn't know that that's where conservatives were. I have to imagine that, like, this is not the norm, right? Like, this guy is just a fucking nut job. Alright. Fuck.
So he did send a message, by the way, to the media.
Yeah.
And everyone's saying, oh, this is sad. It's not sad. I'm sorry. It's not sad. It's sad that this person was driven to this because of a complicit media with their extremist messaging. And then they try and tell you that you're going down a rabbit hole by watching this show. Notice they don't provide their references.
Dog. Rabbit hole. That's hilarious. Steven Crowder is a rabbit hole. This man just finds the worst things to support and just is happy to do it. It's like a meme. The meme that was literally made about him. Like, he's the guy that I support X, debate me about it, and he always chooses, like, the worst fucking thing to support. What references, dog? Bro, you ain't leave no references. You were just saying references? Yeah, what reference did you have to make that completely inappropriate joke about that soldier? About that airman, sorry. Man, that's awesome.
Right? You're going down a rabbit hole. By the way, trans genocide, black people are worse off today than...
And he can't just, like, stick to hating on one group. He has to hit every single group, right? In every video. Like, he couldn't just stick to being a ghoul about a tragedy that just happened. He's like, also, you know, the trans and the black and the Latino, and he's gonna hit everything. This is ridiculous. And he's gonna say, and this is like their struggles. Like, really, dog? You're gonna compare? Okay. Let's see where he goes with. I bet he's gonna hit everything.
And slavery, of course, genocide against Palestinians. Women don't have equal. Just think about what they are deliberately breeding.
Women don't have equal. Like, bro, you can't just name all of the issues that are going on in this country and just be like, like, no, like, those are serious issues, and it's kind of gross that he's going about it this way.
Extremism. So, should I be sad? I guess, but this guy sent a message to the media letting them know that he was actually planning something, and he was apparently...
We are not going on Rumble, so that was fucking depressing. Holy shit. I'm gonna have to put a trigger warning at the beginning of this video. That's bad.